This is The Edge. Hosted by award-winning golf broadcaster Scott Walker. With Andy Walker, a four-time national champion and the head golf coach at Eastern Michigan. And now, Scott Walker.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Edge. My name is Scott Walker. My brother from another, Andy Walker, is in San Diego, where his son, his baby boy, is now a high school graduate or will be soon. So he is flying right now as we are speaking, but I will not leave you on your own. This man is one of the great voices in golf, and he joins us now. He is Jerry Foltz. He's one of the lead announcers for LIV Golf. Jerry, how are you?
I am good, Scott. Long time no talk, old buddy. It was funny. I was at Erin Hills for the Women's Open because Karen was working it. And I walked around the first round with Lexi and her dad, and all I did was bring back memories of the day you and I played there.
Just thinking about that place, I thought about it as how much it's grown over I think it was it was probably 10, 15 years since we played there that one day, those 2 days back to back. And I don't know what you think of how Erin Hills has changed over the years and grown into a major championship venue we're comfortable with. When we first saw it, it was a really cool piece of property. I'm not sure it was a major championship worthy golf course yet.
Yeah, you know what? I like the course we played better than the one they played last week because it was, it was very much a links style course in the middle of Dairyland, Wisconsin. Most of the greens were, you tee off high, you hit down low, you go back up high. That's very common in old style courses, not modern courses. A lot of blind shots off the tee, a lot of blind shots into the green, and severe penalties for a ball that would run off and go down 50 yards. I'd much rather watch a major or what have you in America where we're going to see what we're going to see at Oakmont this week, whereas you have to chop it out of the rough and you have to hit some kind of creative shot from the rough around the greens instead of watching a ball trundle down 50 yards. But you had to be in complete control of your golf ball there for the women who competed, and the same will happen this week at the US Open.
I do think that there was a formula that Andy and I talked about last week, which was how to win at Oakmont. And I just remember Dustin Johnson, and it was imprinted in my brain in 2016, how well he drove the golf ball all that week. That what he did, the two shots into the 18th green on the final hole, the 72nd hole, it was just phenomenal. That was him at the peak of his powers, in my opinion. And so when you look at that formula, I just keep thinking, okay, who is long enough to be able to give yourself a chance to get to these greens and hold it, and who can get hot enough with the driver where they're going to hit 10, maybe, I don't think you can hit more than 10 fairways at Oakmont, but let's say you can hit more than that. Do you agree with that formula? Who do you think, what type of player has that chance?
Yeah, no, I think that fairways hit is going to be the number one most important stat. And typically at all golf tournaments and majors included, if you look down the major stat categories before you start parsing it into strokes from 12 and a half yards to 13 yards and all that stuff, the major stat categories is always greens and regulation. You can almost run down the money list of the PGA Tour and the greens and regulation list. They don't mirror each other, but you get a good example of it. At Oakmont, the greens and regulation are going to be the second most important. Driving it in the fairway is going to be the first most important, without which the second one's not even possible. So, and you look at the guys who drive the ball exceptionally well, and obviously the defending champion comes to mind first and foremost. I've never seen anybody drive the ball the way Bryson DeChambeau is driving it now. He's hitting it so straight with that crank driver. The ball just doesn't turn. From our side, I say from our side, from my 14 guys in the field.
Right.
John Rahm is right there in that conversation as well. The way he started swinging it recently, and then you look, Scheffler is at the PGA. I had a little side wager with one of my colleagues because we always want our guys to win, and I said I'll take Rory and Scheffler against the field. And everybody thought I was absolutely nuts, but it was Scheffler's tournament to lose the way he was playing.
Of course.
I don't know if you can say that about Oakmont. As great as he's playing, I don't think you can say that about Oakmont, especially with so many of the guys who he doesn't see very often, the LIV guys, rounding into form in Waco, in Rahm and Bryson in great form right now. So, and a few others playing extremely well.
We play our majors poker game where we pick a hand of, we each get 5 players, 10 players that we think you can win. We each pick 5, who gets a better hand. I just dumped the game because Scottie Scheffler's odds at this point are so close to what Tiger's odds were in 2000 to win. I think he was a plus 300. I haven't looked at it in the last couple of days. And so we played the, do you want Scottie or do you want 5 other players that might be able to beat him? You know, not the field, but 5 other players. And we only got to 3. And you've already named them. We got to Bryson, we got to Rory, we got to Jon Rahm, and you know, I won the toss, and I'm like, I'm still taking Scottie. And I don't believe in that. I really don't believe that you can pick one player against the field, let alone one player against 3. But the way that he's playing right now, he lost his driver on Sunday, and then on Sunday at the PGA, and then he just found it again.
Yeah, early in the round, he was hitting it crooked. He's hitting it like, yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. And then, what was it, about that 8th to 9th, 10th hole? He just all of a sudden just started striping it.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, you know, a guy you know well, Ted Scott, just saying, hey, why don't you aim a little further right? I mean, just something simple, you know, a guy knowing his guy.
I was listening to Michael Breed this morning because I'm like as you know, I don't even watch other sports hardly. I just watch golf and listen to golf. So I listen to XM Radio and Michael Breed's 3-hour show in the morning. I love Breeder, 3 hours a lot. And nonetheless, he said nobody in the game has the club face control of Scottie Scheffler. Nobody has that kind of club face control, and he proves it week in and week out. It's really awesome. And the fact that the LIV guys aren't there, my guys aren't there, shouldn't detract in any way from the accomplishments he's accumulating on the PGA Tour whatsoever. The guy is he's by far number 1 player in the world. And the only way that changes is if other players win more majors that he doesn't see in the same time span.
Okay, so before I get to the my guys thing, and we'll get into that, but let's go ahead and talk about these guys on LIV that some people haven't seen. And we know about Bryson. We'll get to him in a second. Jon Rahm, I think, is rounding into form a little bit. If Andy were here, Andy has been riding for Joaquin Niemann for the last 2 years. Ever since we started the show, Joaquin Niemann is always a guy that he picks for our majors poker. He just won again in Virginia. Tell me the bull case on why Niemann can get it done this week.
He can. He's got the talent. Data Golf and TUGR, which actually rank all players, both have him in the top 5 in the world, and I think rightfully so. He's 25 years old. Everything's been a learning curve. When he got out to the PGA Tour very young, he learned how to win. When he came to LIV, it took a while, and he learned how to win. And he learned he's comfortable. He knows he can beat those guys. The thing is, those guys are also winning majors, so it hasn't translated yet where he tees it up in a major, and I know I can beat these guys. It's a little intimidating for him, but he's taking the absolute right attitude into it. In his interview with Don Boulay last Sunday, that, you know, I'm just learning. I'm learning majors. I'm learning how to compete and contend in majors. And he had his first top 10 at the PGA. So do I expect him to have a chance on Sunday? Every single time, much like Andy Walker, because he's a really smart guy. Every single time. But would I be surprised if he's lingering there about, you know, outside the striking zone? No, because it's a process for him to get comfortable doing that.
So you're going to have to talk me off the ledge on Brooks Koepka, who is one of my guys that I always pick. And the performance I saw at the PGA, I'm off the train. But the idea of Brooks Koepka, the guy that I saw win U.S. Opens, win PGA Championships, and play fairly well, I think, over, you know, certainly a couple of years ago, I think he was still playing really well. The idea of Brooks Koepka can absolutely win this week.
That's the enigma that is Brooks Koepka. I mean, his PGA Tour career, everybody knows that he won. What, he won 3 tournaments that weren't majors? Yeah. The whole time, but yet he was not always there in majors, but really close to being there in majors. The only thing I would caution against this week is it's been a long time since I have seen him play well in a major when he wasn't playing well leading into it.
Okay.
And through 8 events this season on LIV, he's had 1 second place finish back at Singapore 2 months ago plus, and 1 other top 10. He hasn't been playing that well. I know he's the captain of a franchise and trying to build value in that, and that's obviously going to benefit him a great deal in the long run. So, and 3 guys depend on him to do well. So I think there's something to be said for him trying his hardest, but the game's just not there right now.
Okay, so the 2 guys up top, Rahm is, I think, you're starting to see him get comfortable in his own skin. He was unfairly placed as a villain, and I just don't think that's something he wears really well. He may be getting a little more comfortable in his skin. I want to know what you kind of think about that. And also, let's go ahead and talk about Bryson DeChambeau. And Bryson, if he hits wedges a little bit better in Quail Hollow, it might have been a different story as well. What do you think about those 2 and the ideas that I've had about what may have been holding them back from being the major champions that they truly are?
Yeah, both of them, two-time major champions now.
Yeah.
Bryson, I like his odds a lot. I like him second to Scottie. He's got a brand new set of irons that he helped design with, what is it, LA Golf?
With LA Golf. He's got his logo on there and everything. It looks very spiffy.
Yeah. In his iron play at both the Masters and the PGA was so far below his standard. It's been quite low during LIV this year as well, especially the shorter the iron gets. Well, we say the shorter the iron gets, they're all the same length. He's trying to control the spin and the distance on a 60-degree 6-iron. Somehow he does it. He's amazing around the greens with that thing. I've held the clubs in my hand, and I don't know how a human being makes contact with them, but he does. So if he cleans that up, because it's unforgiving around there, and if he hits some of those shots he hit at the previous 2 majors and in some of our LIV events this year, he's just gouging something out of the rough. Now, granted, he's as good as anybody doing that, it seems like right now, but you're fighting an uphill battle the whole way, although I think Oakmont's going to be an uphill battle for everybody, including the winner.
Everybody.
Rahmbo, and you're right, you hit the nail on the head. When you join LIV as a high-profile player, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a rhetoric, there's a narrative that's encouraged or at least expected on behalf of, as I say, the other side. You have to be, just live in a dungeon somewhere not to hear it, not to see it, not to let it affect you. I think he's past that. He's a big boy. He knows he can handle it, and he started playing well. Now, also last season during the majors, he didn't play well in the Masters. He was injured. Was it the PGA that he withdrew from, or the?
It was the U.S. Open with his foot. Yeah.
And then that was bugging him for quite a while, and it was a nasty, weird injury in between his toes. And then he goes to the Open Championship and plays well. I think he finished 7th or 8th there. So I think he came into this season ready, and he proved that at the PGA up until the last 4 holes where he had to try and force something to happen.
You just see that there is a lot of elite talent, as you said, on your side. Let's talk about some of that elite talent, how it performs on LIV Golf, and we'll do that after the break. That's next. This is The Edge.
Never miss a new podcast when they drop. Subscribe to The Edge on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is interesting to hear you, Jerry, talking about our guys. There is such a possessive, nature to the way that you're talking about this. What has life been like for you, for all the team that has made this over the last, 3 seasons now, made this into a golf league that doesn't look like it's going away? What is the work that's been done that's led you to that feeling of really, owning, where the growth of LIV has gone?
Because of all of the the pushback and the hurdles that were placed in our way to overcome, and collectively from the top down under Greg Norman and now Scott O'Neill and all of the players and all of the TV team and all of the support staff, all feeling like you were in the same boat together, which I've never seen in professional golf. Now every one of us is at every single event together. I remember it was Lee Westwood at the Pro-Am party, the draw party, because we had a draw for the first teams in London 2022. And I said, feel a little bit like a maverick? He goes, no, we all kind of feel like rebels right now, because by then the noise was already mounting. Nobody thought it was going to take place. It did, and it's gone on and grown and grown. So you wouldn't be human if you didn't have a little bit of feeling of ownership in the success that we have seen thus far, and hopefully great deal of success more coming up from just the way the events are presented and the way the sheer number of fans who come out to watch and enjoy themselves. It's hard to say that by any commercial sense. Obviously, no, we're still not in the profit phase. We're getting a lot closer under Scott O'Neill. But from a success standpoint, as a startup company, hell yeah, I never thought we would have this many people and that much enthusiasm about our product. So everybody's invested in it. Everybody feels, with a bit of ownership in the product. Everybody does. Everybody's opinion has always been valued from the top down, from the bottom up, So yeah, that's why I call them my guys, our guys, because we were in this boat together, and we all faced a minute amount compared to the players and other people, but we all faced a fair bit of people out there making character assessments because we took a better job with a new and exciting league, and it gets to you at first, and then you just learn to deal with it, because I haven't ever felt that I made the wrong decision. I never will, actually.
What struck me when Andy and I went out to Virginia for the event in 2023 was how comfortable the players were in that bubble. I'd never seen a range that was more low key. There was a lot of work being done. At that point, I think it was Mickelson was grinding with Andy Ogletree to try to get him out of his funk at that point. And you talked about captains having a vested interest in the way that some of their players are playing. But on the other end, from the four aces, Patrick Reed just came up to chit chat. Now, look, I have a good relationship with Patrick, but he ain't ever come over to talk, so just that feeling of ease and comfort in, I guess I would call it a bubble. Has that maintained over the last few years, that sense that you talked about with Lee Westwood, the sense I got from Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed and some of those other players as well?
Yeah. No question. There's a lot of things working in favor of that. Number one, they're all at the course at the same time. They're leaving for the course at the same time. They're working out at the same time. They're practicing. They're eating at the same time. Everybody's together. Yeah. That's a huge factor. And number two, there's not a lot of demands on their time earlier in the week, except for some media demands, because fans are not allowed on the golf course until competition days start, 3 hours before play of Friday. So they're a lot more relaxed. They're not worried about, getting distracted. So I think that's part of it. You'd be lying to yourself if you think 3 years in. I think we just had our third birthday, whatever the first day London was, 2022, just passed. You'd be lying to yourself if you didn't think that personality disagreements or emotions start happening over time. That's part of it. Rivalries are starting to happen. Individual and team rivalries are starting to get a little more intense. They all have a common goal. And I'm not sure you can say that about any other professional sports league.
We focus a lot, in the narrative business, right? The narrative business focuses on the U.S. ratings for LIV. Okay, now you guys are on FS1 right now, and trying to grow that audience, obviously. But one of the things that I noticed just traveling the world, doing a lot of European tour back in my Golf Channel days, was how much the U.S. world is a piece of the golf world. It is not the entire golf world. And I'm wondering what you've seen now as you're traveling to so many different countries and the the impact that your players traveling to Singapore, traveling, to, obviously the Australian events are wildly popular. How can you describe that energy and the attention on and off the golf course that you guys are getting in those areas?
Yeah, well, you can't really describe it to the American audience because they just think you're talking tongues. Um,
Yeah.
the entire world is thrilled with our product. They give me the metrics and the numbers for our worldwide viewership, not just our distribution, our actual consumption of the product, both digitally and linearly. And it's astounding. It's staggering, actually. Obviously, in the United States, we've had one broadcast this entire season that was apples to apples while we were on Fox on Sunday in Miami, and the PGA Tour, I believe, was on CBS. I had dinner with some Fox execs on Wednesday night or Thursday night, and we were within, I don't know, a little more than 20,000 or 30,000 more than exactly what they said we were going to get on Sunday. They knew to a T what they were going to get. We hadn't been on Fox domestically during the time zone when people are used to watching golf. We haven't since, actually, except for last Friday. We had 3 hours on the network. The
Right.
deal with Fox was a huge blessing for us to get onto that platform, to have them invest and believe in the product. We couldn't be more excited about it. We joined so late that their inventory is full, so we have to pick and choose the best possible platform you get on for the certain hours of the day. It's annoying to the viewer. I know as a golf viewer myself, when I'm watching our former employer, my girlfriend's current employer, NBC Golf Channel, you have to switch around 2 or 3 times during a major championship, and it gets annoying, and you have to have paid for one of the apps or something. Now that there is some long-term planning, we'll be able to have those discussions with the broadcasting department, with the scheduling department at Fox, and figure out the best days and weeks to be able to get that network coverage. But if we're playing 6 or 7 events max to the North American audience in a time zone that they're used to, the numbers are never going to be apples to apples. I know our company, our side, and the people who are invested in our side are thrilled with what we're doing and are thrilled with the broadcast relationship with Fox and are extremely thrilled with what's going on worldwide. But we go to markets that have had great players, a few here and there, show up for an event on an appearance fee, usually on the European tour or what have you. Now you get all of these guys, all 54 of these guys, and 30 of them, most golf fans, even passive golf fans can name, are showing up for the same event. And they go, and people, 28% of the tickets in Adelaide came from out of state and out of country. That's absolutely crazy. And
What, really?
we did the largest share in the world that we've ever seen on, and we were switching around networks on 7 there as well. So that just shows the excitement that can be there. We might have some new events next year, and some of the, we have a few teams that are kind of nationalized. We might have 1 or 2 in those countries, and it'll be every bit the same there. And I think that that creates a little bit more rivalries and a little bit more fan base. All the kids, every young kid who comes to golf, maybe for the first time or second time, they say Bryson's my favorite or Rahm's my favorite player, but they go get a team hat. All they want to know is how the range goats are doing today. It's the craziest thing. It's so much fun. So in that respect, it certainly feels like we're doing more than paying lip service to growing.
What does a merger look like? Because to be honest, I mean, I don't see a need for it. At this point, I think, you're saying these 2 formats are so different that incorporating the format seems odd. So the best case scenario, from someone on the outside is, can you have a working relationship where all the top players can flow between one or the other? Is that what the formula is to bring, maybe not the tours fully together, but to be able to allow for peace in golf, for lack of a better phrase?
In my mind, that would be the ideal situation. I don't see LIV going anywhere. Matter of fact, I'm convinced it's not going anywhere. The deal, merger or whatever it would be, whatever you want to call it, the deal is going to be something that makes financial business sense currently and moving forward to both entities involved, the PGA Tour and all the tentacles that their massive arm reaches, and LIV Golf, and the Public Investment Fund.
If you're looking out going forward, right? And you see a league where the most popular golfer in the world, and I think it's very clear that Bryson DeChambeau is the most popular golfer in the world, potentially on a given day, the best golfer in the world, and a golfer who would like to stay on that league, as he talked about yesterday. What can you do with assets like that to be able to continue the mission and grow it?
I don't know if what we do is necessary. He seems to be doing a pretty good job of it himself. And you see other guys following along. Even Sergio started doing a lot of YouTube stuff. Phil Mickelson, of course, with Grant Horvat and the influencers, which is still something that is absolutely mind-boggling to the 62-year-old guy. My influencer was always the guy on the other side of the bar. So, yeah, but they're all doing a lot of that. The more that we visit new countries, and I didn't hit on this before, but Scott O'Neill will be the first to tell you, and Greg Norman always told me, the countries that call every day trying to get a LIV event into their country, and the financial incentive they're willing to offer, either it be nationally, locally, whatever it may be, commercially, is staggering. We could legitimately have probably 20 events outside of the U.S. that were profitable just based on how badly those countries want them. It's staggering, but there is obviously going to still be a main focus to stay U.S. centered for half or close to half of the season. I mean, we go to Hong Kong and the whole country knows we're there. You're here for the golf. There's banners the streets are decorated with them. They just go bonkers for it. And obviously Adelaide, Australia is the same way, and a few others. But from a league standpoint, and what I see in my Pollyanna view is another team or two of PGA Tour players with interchangeable parts. Same with ours. So you have 5- and 6-man teams, and 4 play that week. You pick your 4. The franchise, the organization picks them out, and the other guys go play the PGA Tour events they want to play. I don't know, with 14 events and 4 majors for our stars, 18 events, how many other PGA Tour events they'd really like to play other than Patrick Reed. I don't think anybody played more than 22 or 23 events. So I'm sure Dustin would love to go play a Canadian Open because RBC was so good to him for so many years. I know John Rahm likes Torrey Pines, and he likes, believe it or not, American Express. He would love to support those events. I think that would be a win-win, and I think there's a coexistence that could happen there quite peacefully.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out, but I do know that whatever happens, you will be there to chronicle it and do it very well. All right, Jerry Foltz, thanks for
joining us.
Great
to see you, buddy.
See you, man.